The Eldoret North Member of Parliament, who is making his debut in the presidential contest on a United Republican Party's ticket, turns 46 in December. He has been on the ground selling his candidature in various counties across the country.
If the contest for the leadership of this country is about performance, about matching what one says and what they do, then I stand the best chance in the country. But if the contest for leadership is about other issues, then maybe we can discuss my chances.
But what are the chances for the man who held the agriculture and higher education docket before he was edged out of the cabinet?
William Ruto, I think, is the president, the brilliant president we will not have, not this time round. But one day, someday, Ruto will become king, in my view.
In the 2007 presidential poll, whose outcome was contested, Ruto campaigned for the ODM flag bearer, now Prime Minister Raila Odinga. However, the two have since fallen out. Ruto has maintained that his name will be on the 2013 presidential ballot paper. But will it?
Ruto is in this race not to win. He's in this race not even to break the record. He's in this race to finish. So the possibilities are he may go the full hog. And once he does the full hog, he will support one of the candidates. But then the problem with that, when he does his calculations, he realizes that he may play into the hands of Tinga. So the possibilities are that just before the election, he might, maybe 3 months before, he might decide to bolt out and team up with somebody. My thinking is I will team up with Mudavadi.
How then is Ruto likely to determine the outcome of the crowded race to State House?
Ruto is running because he knows that he has a magic wand. If Raila Odinga was a man with a tosha magic on the Kibaki, when Kibaki became president, the man with the tosha magic now is going to be Ruto, and he knows it. And the man Ruto will back, the man will become king, whoever that person is. That realization is what makes him a serious candidate, in my view.
If that was the case, then it would effectively mean that the Eldoret North Member of Parliament will be the kingmaker in the country's first general election under a new constitutional order.
And I think we can go to the bank with that Ruto is going to be the next kingmaker. But to be kingmaker alone is insufficient, because once you have made the king, the first rule in Machiavellian politics in particular is that once you sit on that chair, you must destroy all the kings in waiting and all the kingmakers. And that's exactly what Raila did to Ruto. Ruto made him king by giving him some support, but Raila had to destroy him as a kingmaker and a king in waiting. Kibaki did the same thing with Raila.
The new constitution has also radically altered the country's system of governance, handing Parliament a key role in governance. The winning presidential candidate will also have to work even harder to ensure that his or her party has a majority both in the National Assembly and the Senate. Political observers, however, opine that Ruto's forays in the larger Meru and Kisii regions, the coastal region and his Rift Valley political backyard, was not by coincidence.
So if you have a Meru MP here, another one from Turkana, and you control the House, and if it's possible he becomes a majority leader within the House, then he will be holding the new king by the neck. And the new king will have no option but to listen to him.
But even as he eyes the presidency, Ruto has crimes against humanity charges hanging on his neck at the International Criminal Court. That notwithstanding, analysts say Ruto, who has labeled himself a hustler, is a difficult politician to ignore.
I remember I was selling chicken by a railway station in the 1980. Nobody could ever believe that in 2011 I would be among the top 4 presidential contenders in the country. Nobody.
You see, Ruto attended the Moi School of Politics, and he finished schooling. He even got a Form 4 certificate from that School of Politics. But then after he left, he was supposed to go for internship with somebody, but nobody could pick him up for internship. So he had to go to the streets. And Ruto is actually a politician made by the streets. And he is actually a street boy, a political street boy, as it were. And being streetwise then, when he tells us he's a hustler, we believe him. Because when Uhuru Kenyatta was eating sausages in State House those days, Ruto was selling chicken on the streets. He understands the streets.
Critics, however, say Ruto's aggressive nature could be his main undoing.
Ruto's main disadvantage is that if you make a promise with him, you cannot go to the bank with it. Not until the last day. He's the kind of guy who will give you a political bouncing check. When you have raw ambition, what normally happens is that everybody throws their daggers against you and they'll fight you.
During his tour of the North Rift last weekend, Prime Minister Raila Odinga was wooing back to the Orange team, Ruto and the rebel Orange members of parliament, who have since moved to the United Republican Party URP. With the vote-rich Rift Valley region critical for any presidential candidate, is there a likelihood of Ruto and Odinga mending fences ahead of next year's race to State House?
The fallout between Raila Odinga and the Kalenjin nation, in my own thinking, is total. In fact, I'm prepared to bet that Raila will get more votes amongst the Gikoyos than he'll get amongst the Kalenjins. That's a possibility.
Ruto and his political allies in the G7 alliance have all insisted that they have what it takes to clinch the country's top job. It's the dynamics of political realignments and the challenge of capturing the presidency that makes the March 2013 polls the most complex in Kenya's electoral history. Francis Gachuri for the Kibaki Succession Series.